The land where I'm standing now is one of the most holy and sacred and important lands in the world to Muslims, to Jews and Christians. But like everywhere else, when COVID hit, the country was forced to shut down. And for the over 3 million tourists and pilgrims who would come here annually, they were not allowed in. Well, after almost a year and a half, the Holy Land is slowly starting to reopen. Although tourists are still not permitted to enter Israel, small pilgrim groups with the correct authorization are allowed entry on a trial basis. This pilgrimage was organized by a section of the Vatican called Romana Pellegrinaggi and had 19 people on the trip, including Cardinal Enrico Feroci. They are one of the first pilgrimage groups to come back to the Holy Land and experience it in a very special way. Right next to a wall known as the Israeli West Bank Barrier, a contentious border in the Israeli-Palestinian dispute, is Bethlehem, and the tour group's first stop as they pay a visit to the Basilica of the Nativity. Outside there is a priest from Mexico who is based here and is surprised to see the pilgrimage group.
I came just to visit the church. When I see the group, for me it's a very big surprise. It's happiness, a big happiness. A very difficult time for us. Pray to God that people come to return to the Holy Land.
The Basilica is the oldest and one of the best preserved churches in the Holy Land, and the group get a chance to take in the incredible mosaics on the walls, which are from the time of the Crusades, telling the story of Jesus.
The mosaics have been renovated 2 years ago and were made later in the Middle Ages, but are very, very beautiful. And if you see the mosaics, you see angels, a movement of angels who go
towards the grotto.
Under
the altar is the grotto, and surrounded by lanterns and icons is the spot which they believe is the very spot where Jesus was born, in a manger 2,000 years ago. The group prays here and takes in what's in front of them. Incredibly, they are here almost on their own, with just a handful of other pilgrims. Back outside the Basilica, in the square of Bethlehem, there is a small souvenir shop that sells handmade wood carvings. Ronnie runs this shop, which has been in his family for over 100 years.
My grandfather, Epifanio, he established this store in 1927, and then Victor, my father, the second generation, he's almost 56 years here, and then me and my brother, Epifanio, the third generation, and then my son, I hope he will be the fourth generation. His name is Victor.
The family store has seen many hard times in the past, but Ronnie says nothing compares to this.
To see the Nativity Church without any pilgrim, this is something like a dream. We are dreaming, and we are sometimes afraid. When my father, Victor, tell me, Ronnie, I never in my life seen like this. We are feeling that it's the end of our life, because 80% of the population in Bethlehem, they are depending on tourism.
Almost 70% of Israel's population is now fully vaccinated. In fact, Israel was hailed as a world leader in the early vaccine rollout after striking a deal with Pfizer. As a result, the number of COVID cases, hospitalizations and deaths has been quite low for some time. However, the country is now experiencing a spike in cases, reaching over 1,200 positive cases a day due to the Delta variant. Previously, older generations were more at risk, but this time around, the burden has shifted to younger, unvaccinated Israelis. Tourists are still not permitted to visit. Only small, fully vaccinated pilgrimage groups. Next on the pilgrimage tour is Nazareth, a few hours' drive north of Jerusalem, the city which is believed to be where Mary was from and which would become the childhood home of Jesus, earning him the name Jesus of Nazareth. The Basilica of the Annunciation has been built around a small cave, which is where tradition says that the angel Gabriel appeared to Mary and announced that she would conceive and bear a child who would be the Son of God. Normally closed to the public, the group were able to enter the cave, getting to touch the stone. A museum next door has artifacts excavated from the area. One is the base of a column, which has been dated to the 1st century after the death of Christ. Incredibly, there is a graffiti carving on it from that time in Greek, which translated says, "Hail Mary," strong evidence that there was a devotion to Mary in the early church, right from the beginning. And finally, one of the last stops on the tour. Located in the heart of the Christian quarter in the old city of Jerusalem is the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. Dating back to the 4th century, inside are two of the holiest sites in Christianity, the site where they believe Jesus was crucified and Jesus' empty tomb, where he was laid to rest and from where he rose from the dead. It brings to an end what has been a very moving pilgrimage for this small group. To be standing here right outside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and for it to be absolutely quiet is really remarkable. And for the small groups of pilgrims who've been able to experience the Holy Land like this, it really has been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Now, the Israeli government say that they hope to reopen their borders to pilgrims and tourists this autumn, but with a recent increase in positive cases in the country, they might have to rethink that strategy. In Jerusalem, Colm, Flynn, EWTN News in Depth.